Beneath the surface of the sea, imagination has placed one of the most mysterious cities in history. Atlantis is often pictured as a place of marble towers, temples, and lost streets resting in blue silence. But before we ask where it was, we must ask a deeper question: was Atlantis ever real? For centuries, scholars, explorers, and dreamers have searched for clues. Some look to ancient texts. Others study maps, coastlines, volcanic islands, and ruins beneath the sea. The mystery survives because Atlantis sits between two worlds, the world of history, and the world of legend. The story begins with Plato, the Greek philosopher who wrote about Atlantis more than 2,000 years ago. He did not describe it as a casual tale. In his dialogues, Atlantis became a powerful example, a story about civilization, ambition, and the danger of forgetting balance and wisdom. Plato placed Atlantis beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the ancient name for the gateway near Gibraltar. To many ancient sailors, this was the edge of the known world. Beyond it stretched the open ocean, a place where geography, fear, and imagination could easily become one. In Plato's account, Atlantis was not a small island settlement. It was a mighty civilization, rich in resources, skilled in engineering, and protected by harbors and walls. Its power came from the sea, and its people believed they ruled a world that could never fall. The most unforgettable detail is the shape of the city itself. Atlantis was said to have rings of land and water, one circle inside another, connected by bridges and canals. This design made it seem both practical and symbolic, a city ordered like a perfect machine. Atlantis was also described as wealthy. Ships arrived with goods from distant lands. Markets filled with metal, pottery, food, textiles, and rare materials. Whether real or imagined, Plato's Atlantis represented the dream of a civilization that had mastered trade, architecture, and the sea. At the center of that world stood temples and sacred spaces. These places were not only religious. They were political, royal, and symbolic. The rulers of Atlantis claimed power from tradition, wealth, and divine favor, surrounded by stone, fire, and ceremony. The sea was the heart of Atlantis. Its fleets moved through ports and channels, carrying merchants, soldiers, and influence. A civilization built around water could grow rich and powerful, but the same water that protected it could also become its greatest threat. Then the story changes. Plato describes a people who became proud and restless. Their strength turned into ambition, and ambition turned into conquest. In the legend, Atlantis did not fall simply because nature was stronger. It fell because power had changed the people who held it. Atlantis was said to have fought ancient Athens. The battle does not need blood to feel dramatic. It is enough to imagine fleets facing each other, armies waiting on the shore, and two visions of civilization standing in tension, conquest on one side, resistance on the other. For Plato, this may have been the real point. Atlantis could have been a mirror held up to society, a warning that even a great civilization can destroy itself when wealth, pride, and force become more important than justice, restraint, and wisdom. Then came the catastrophe. In the legend, earthquakes shook the island, storms darkened the sky, and water began to rise. Fire and sea seemed to strike together. Streets that had once carried traders and priests filled with panic, noise, and rushing waves. In a single terrible day and night, Atlantis disappeared beneath the sea. Its walls, harbors, bridges, and temples were swallowed by water. Whether this was history or symbolic storytelling, the image is unforgettable, a great city falling back into the ocean that had once made it powerful. After the disaster, there is silence. The proud city becomes a field of ruins beneath the waves. Columns crack. Statues darken. Sand covers streets where people once walked. Fish move through spaces that, in the story, were once filled with voices, music, markets, and ceremony. Some researchers have looked to Santorini for answers. In the Bronze Age, a massive volcanic eruption devastated the island of Thera and affected the wider Aegean world. Could memories of that disaster have traveled through generations and transformed into the story of Atlantis? The Minoan civilization offers another possible connection. It was wealthy, artistic, and deeply connected to the sea. Its palaces, ships, and trade networks made it one of the great cultures of the ancient Aegean. When disaster struck, its decline may have left a powerful memory behind. Modern searches for Atlantis often begin with real science, underwater archaeology, sonar, diving teams, research vessels, and careful surveys of the seabed. These searches remind us that legends sometimes point toward real places, even when the original story has changed over time. Other theories look beyond Gibraltar, into the Atlantic. If Plato's geography is taken literally, Atlantis may have been imagined somewhere west of the Mediterranean. This idea has inspired generations of explorers, but it has also created more questions than answers. Many discoveries have been called clues, but clues are not the same as proof. Underwater stones can look like roads. Natural formations can seem like walls. Ancient ruins can be misread. The challenge is to separate evidence from coincidence, and curiosity from certainty. Even without proof, Atlantis became powerful in another way. It lived on in books, maps, paintings, expeditions, and stories. Each generation reshaped the legend to fit its own hopes and fears, turning Atlantis into one of history's most enduring mysteries. Perhaps Atlantis is best understood as myth-carrying memory. Ancient people saw earthquakes, floods, eruptions, and cities destroyed by the sea. Over centuries, those memories may have blended into one great story, a civilization lost because nature and human pride both had limits. That is what makes Atlantis more than a treasure hunt. It asks us to think about every civilization that believes it is permanent. Stone can break. Harbors can vanish. Records can be lost. And the sea can keep secrets longer than any empire can survive. So was Atlantis a real place, a philosophical warning, or a distant memory of disasters long forgotten? The answer remains hidden somewhere between history and imagination. And perhaps that is why the legend still pulls us back beneath the waves. Subscribe to the channel and join the History Storytellers for cinematic history documentaries and journeys into the past.